Hey, Lexi here. You might know by now that I'm an artist. What you might not know yet is I love writing too. So one thing I want to do a lot on this channel is tell you guys some of my short fiction stories. I found one I made back in college that is a big favorite among my friends and family that I want to share with you guys. It's a short little ghost story about 15-year-old Alden, his crush and math tutor Claire, and his strange family situation. Just a heads up, this is not a story for kids. Claire leans in so close that I can smell her shampoo. I think it's vanilla or something. She reaches out for my hand and drags it across the table. Okay, now subtract X from both sides, here and here. She points with my hand to our worksheet and smiles. Claire Alice is in my room. We're doing math, but she's in my room. A great good and a great evil collide. How do I subtract X if I don't know what X is? I moan. Claire rolls her eyes at me. Her eyes are two different colors, one green and one brown. I never met anyone with eyes like that before. Claire swats at my shoulder and laughs. Alden, the test is tomorrow. You're telling me you still don't know how to do this? I sort of half shrug and look away, smirking. The upside to this is now she gets to teach it to me. Claire turns my textbook back, looking for a page that supposedly explains this, when we hear it. I'm not allowed to have my door closed with Claire here. My mother must think we're a pair of hormone bombs. I wish I could close the door and shut out the racket in the hall. Claire turns in her chair when she hears it. Clomp, clomp, clomp. My mother's work shoes hitting the floor. She was running like a lunatic, yelling into the empty hall. Matt, what did I tell you about leaving your toys in the middle of the floor? I'd catch a glimpse of her, with her arms full of Matt's old things. His airplanes, his ball, his skates. I'm sure Claire saw it too. You clean this up right now, young man, or no TV for a week! I sigh and look at Claire. I don't want to tell her. This is why I never invited her over before. I didn't know you had a little brother, Claire says, stretching in her seat to see further out my door. She must think there's a little boy out there running around and my mother is chasing him. I'm sure that's what my mother thinks too. Not exactly, I choke out. I tense up everywhere. I'd rather be doing math. Claire tilts her head. She always does that when she's confused. I had an older brother when I was a kid, but there was this accident. He died when he was 8 years old. Pity wells up in Claire's eyes. Oh my gosh, how did he... She covers her mouth, like she wanted to swallow up her question. I try not to smile, so she doesn't try to apologize for bringing it up, but it doesn't fit right. It's okay, I can talk about it, I say, talking over my mother's ranting in the living room. I think I owe you an explanation for that anyway. I scratch the back of my neck awkwardly. The trick is to tell her just enough for her to understand, but not so much that she gets freaked out. It happened when Matt was one of those kids that always wanted to be older than he was. Faster, taller, everything. So telling him he's too little to do something wasn't smart. I remember my mom told Matt to help set the table, like always. She told him to get the forks and stuff, and Matt asked her why can't he ever get the plates. My mom didn't know the rule about not calling him too short, too young, too anything, so she told him the plates are too high in the china cabinet for him to reach. She left the room to bring dinner out, so Matt tried to prove her wrong. He stood up on the dining room chairs and reached up in the china cabinet. He wobbled and grabbed a shelf with both hands. And I mean, I didn't see what happened exactly, but I heard the crash. I ran out to see what the noise was. I remember seeing the china cabinet on the floor, backside up, and my brother's arms sticking out from under it. My brother died trying to set the table. My mom never got over it. She was right in the next room, but I know she couldn't have done anything. It was over in a second. And she blames herself for making him want to get the dishes in the first place. So now my mother is convinced Matt's still here. Claire tilts her head again, but this time with a look on her face that lets me read her mind perfectly. I can almost see her think, "Oh, your poor mother," from the way she bites her lip a little, and eyebrows twitching up and together. "So your mom thinks your brother's ghost is here?" "Sort of," I say too quickly. I take a deep breath and shake off that feeling of dread. Maybe I'm not okay with talking about this. She'll yell at nothing and lecture him about things he used to do. I think it makes her feel better, but it's been going on for years. I don't think it's healthy for any of us. I mean, every night, every single night, at dinner, we hear more clomping coming towards my door, and my heart does a little lap through my body before settling in my throat. My mom pokes her head into my room with this big grin that shows all of her teeth. God, I hope she didn't hear what I was saying. "Hi," she says, stretching the word out like it's a song. "So you're the famous Claire, huh?" Loony mothers are no less embarrassing than common variety ones. Mine just happens to be both. I glare at her, trying to tell her telepathically not to tell Claire anything. What she says is worse. "Dinner is ready, and I have plenty if you want to stay for a little longer." It'll give us a chance to talk. My eyes pop right out of my head and roll across the room. I want to scream to Claire to make a run for it. I am shaking my head like I've lost my mind, racking my brain for a reason why Claire needs to go home. But I didn't get the chance. "I'd love to, Mrs. Green," Claire says. She's too sweet for her own good sometimes. I swear, I love that about her, but maybe not right now. My mom leads us into the dining room, telling us all about her fancy mashed potatoes and chicken. Claire's nodding like she's interested, but I'm staring at the dining room table my mother was setting. Every night at dinner she does this. She sets out a plate for Matt, a nightly shrine in his honor. I hate it. I stare at the plate and wish I could throw it across the room. The worst part is Claire doesn't know that extra plate isn't for her. She pulls out the chair and is about to sit down, when my mother yelps like she saw a mouse. "No, honey, no, that's not for you. I'll set a place for you over by Alden over here." Claire turns to tilt her head at me. The unspoken question hangs in the air. "Who's that one set for?" "She does this every night," I tell her, irritated. "It's for Matt." My mother stares daggers at me for saying it like it's obnoxious. "Excuse me, Alden, I just want both my sons to feel welcome here. Is that so terrible?" "He's dead, Mom!" I yell, making Claire jump. "Stop treating him like he isn't. It's not good for any of us." I'm trying to take deep breaths and stay calm, but I can't. I don't even want to anymore. "You're only making it harder for him to leave." Claire stares at me, confused and worried. I wish this wasn't happening with her here. I didn't want her to find out about this, and I don't want her to hear me say it. I wish I never told you he was still here. For the first time since Claire came over, I look Matt in the eye. He's sitting backward in his chair watching us. He loves being the center of attention. He always did. Seems like he got more attention than ever after his accident, even though I'm the only one who could ever see him. The mistake I made was telling my mother what all the banging and moving toys was about. Doors would open and close on their own, toys would magically end up in different rooms than she left them. She would have shrugged it off if I didn't tell her. He would have moved on to whatever ghosts are supposed to move on to. But when I saw Matt the first time after the accident, I was too excited to see him. I was too young, too stupid to think of any of that. He was my big brother. I was 6 years old. I thought this made everything better. I thought this would make my mother stop crying. Matt leans his chin on the back of his chair, an evil grin spreading across his face. These days, he's not like he was before he died anymore. He's much more smug now. I'm sure it's because he's not supposed to be here anymore. That my mother spoils the heck out of him, out of guilt. even though she still does yell at him.
What's the matter, Alden? You don't want your big brother hanging out here anymore.
He says, pitchy and whiny, mocking me. Matt, you're not supposed to be here anymore. It was great at first, but I think staying here is messing with your head. It sure as heck mess with Mom's. You're ruining her life, my life, and your afterlife. Matt's eyes darken, and one of the light bulbs in the room blow out. My mom looks straight up, thinking he's floating somewhere around there. She always thinks he's flying around when she tries to guess where he is. Matt, honey, Alden is just cranky. He doesn't mean it. Just take deep breaths. Matt blows out another light bulb. And one of his toy planes flies into the room and aims for my head. I duck, so just misses colliding with my left ear. Claire grabs my arm, completely terrified. Alden, what's going on? Matt's plate flies off the table and smashes to bits at Claire's feet, making her scream. Cut it out, Matt! Leave Claire out of this! Matt disappears and Claire's nails dig into my arm, hard enough for me to look at her. I know she's scared, but she's not usually so... Something's wrong. Her eyes. They're supposed to be green and brown. They look black now. Matt's eyes get like that when he's mad sometimes.
Don't forget, Alden. I'm the older brother here. I'm the one that tells you what to do, not the other way around.
I can't breathe. I can't do anything. Matt's voice is...
I like it here, and I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, so no idea what you guys think of that story, but let me tell you, I hadn't read that in years, and reading it out loud was an experience for me. Let me know down in the comments what you think of me doing more videos like this in the future. I've been really inspired lately. I have a whole list of ideas, and a few I've already started, that I'd love to share with you too. As always, give me a like so we can trick the algorithm into thinking I know what I'm doing. Subscribe if you want to stick around and see what happens. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Lexi Conjures. Links in the description below. Bye guys.